Hi, my name is Miranda and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make a beanie in less than 2 hours or about 2 hours depending on your skill level. The pattern is available on my website craftymamamur.com or linked in the description below, so go check that out to walk you through size by size. This was my trial and error of making my first beanie and it went well, but I will show you the first version of this. So when they say size matters, I think it does. I just kind of ballparked how many chain stitches I thought it was going to take to make this, and then ended up making way too big of a hat. So this was kind of my trial and error, and you'll see that through the video tutorial as I do this. But the pattern has all the details down, as well as size variations, whether you want to make this as a toddler size or a adult size. I have my preferred color combos linked in the pattern, and I also have these pom-poms linked in the pattern, as well as the size variation, just the different chain stitches and dimensions to follow. So if you are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button and let's get started. What you are going to need to start off are 2 different types of yarn. I'm going to use the big twist acrylic. I like to get it from Joann's. And we're going to use 2 strands at a time, so these are the colors we're using. To start off, you're going to take your 2 strands, and we're going to be using them like they are 1 strand for the entire pattern. And you're going to lay them across your index fingers, and you're going to wrap around twice across your index finger there. So then you're going to take the left and go over right, but keep it still on the finger, and you're going to go left and all the way over. This is our slip knot. So that is how we are going to get started. So if you need to, rewind that again, but then we're going to get started with our chain stitches. So the amount of chain stitches that are needed for this beanie, whether you want to make it as an infant, toddler size, or a adult size, are available on the pattern on my website. So we're going to get started, but to do a chain stitch, you are just taking this yarn and taking this under and going over. But you can pull back with the hook like this, so we will just go over. So you're going to take your hook and pull that back, 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 back. Another way you can do it is, if you want to, you can go loop and around, loop and around, loop and around, loop and around. And you can do whatever kind of chain stitch you want. It's just important that you do it consistently. So I'm going to go back to right here and do the amount of chain stitches. A quick tip is to make sure that your chain stitches stay a little bit looser here. You do not need it tight to the hook. You can opt to just getting 1 size bigger of a hook, and that will help. But make sure that you're not pulling it super tight. Otherwise, other parts of this hat will be a little uneven looking when we finish it off. So I will finish all the chain stitches and meet you at the end of our chain stitch row. And now that we are done with our chain, you are going to see that you have a V shape. So what we're going to do is, the stitch used in this blanket is a half double crochet, and I will show you how to do that. But we're going to loop, and if you can see, this is the first V right here, and this is the second V, and this is the third V. We're going to go into the third V from the hook. So you have 1, 2, 3, and you will just go under, and then we will do the stitch, and then that allows it to jump up to the next row. So again, to do a half double crochet, you're going to loop, go under, loop, back, and then you'll have 3 on your hook, and then you'll go loop and back again. It's really important that you get every V here and put a half double crochet in each one of those. So I'll show you one more time. You're going to loop, go under, loop, back, so you have 3 on the hook, loop, and back again. So I'm going to do half double crochets down this row, and I'll show you what to do at the end. Once you get to the end of your row, first you want to make sure that you don't miss any stitches. So if your chain stitch goes farther than your stitches, it means you still have 1 less. Sometimes that can get hidden in there. So we're going to make sure that we get a double crochet in every chain stitch to start off. And then there we go. So that is the first row we have. Now what we're going to do is 2 chain stitches. So loop and back, and loop and back. I like to pull those nice and tight so that your ends don't get wider. And then we are going to flip over our work. So again, when you look at the top there, you will see the V's here. We're going to be putting a stitch in every V. But for this pattern, we are doing half double crochets in the back loop only. So the difference here is that you're going to go loop, and instead of going under the entire V like that, we are only going to go under the back loop only. So then we'll loop back and again. So it is the same stitch, loop, under, loop, back, except this time we are just going in the back loop only. And what this does, it adds a really cool texture to your project. And then when you get to the end of the row, you just add on your chain stitches, flip over, and then go in the back loop on there. So I am going to get a majority of the hat done now, and I will meet you back at once we are done with our rectangle for this hat. The next part here, we are going to join the edges. So we're going to start at this end and fold it over. We want to go and have both of our ends meet at the top, and this will be the top of our hat, and this is the bottom and the brim. But we want to make sure that both of the tail ends are at the same side. This is a reason why it's really important not to drop stitches and to make sure your stitches stay the same, because now we are going to join these sides using a slip stitch. So what you're going to do is you're going to go through your chain stitch and then through your actual stitch. You're going to loop, and you're going to go back through, and you will have 2 on the hook, and you're going to go loop and back again. So all you're going to do is be marrying up the top stitches there. So we just go through the chain stitch, through the other stitch, loop, go back, you should have 2 on your hook, loop, and go back through 2. And so we are going to continue to do that and line them up. You can kind of look at your piece and you'll see that the edges are even. I'm going to just keep going and joining these sides here, and I will meet you at the end. So now that we have finished the row, you can see it's just one large tube. This is the inside of the hat, and this is where we're going to work until we're finished, and then we will flip it right side in. So like I said, now we have our 2 strands at the top. What I'm going to do is just do 1 more chain stitch to solidify that, and then I will cut this strand and give it a nice hefty long tail there, and then we will pull it through and tighten that up. And then just to solidify this, we will just do a nice double square knot here. And then we are going to use this string here to tighten the top of our hat, which is the next step. This is not my favorite yarning needle to use, but I almost got into a fight with an old lady in the yarn aisle because she took the ones I wanted, but I didn't feel like fighting someone for yarn needles, so this is just what I will be using today. But I would recommend something a little bigger because it's a little difficult to get that yarn through, so we'll go ahead and thread our needle. So now what we're going to do is we're going to tighten the top of our hat. So I don't go right at the top, right up here, but I go just slightly underneath this part right here. And I would go through like an inch or 2 at a time and then pull your needle through and pull your yarn through. And you're not gonna tighten it yet. I don't know why this is being so difficult right now. Oh, there we go. But you can pull it through if you want, but I like to just kind of get that needle through and do a couple inches at a time. And then you will do that and go around the entire hat. Yeah, if you're having a difficult time with doing it, you can just do under 2 at a time, and that seemed to work a lot better. But then what you can do, or what will happen, is you will pull this tight, and this will start to become the top of your hat. So we'll go all the way around, and then I will meet you once I finish going around, and I will show you tightening it and then the next step. So we got all the way around to the end, and so what we're gonna do is keep that needle on because we're still gonna use that, but then you are just going to pull it tight like this. And if it doesn't come all the way closed, that is okay and to be expected, because then what I like to do is go around 1 more time, and then this really brings that top in and then adds 1 more layer. So we're gonna just continue going around the top, and this time you're just gonna grab those stitches that you can see right there, and this, and then if you need to know, that's where the hole is. because then what we will do is you'll pull that tight and then that will really close that gap there. So you can go around a few more times if you want. I usually go around 2 or 3 times. This is the top of your hat. Again, we're going to be flipping it inside out so you can see, where is our seam? Right here is our seam, but it hides in there very nicely. But again, this is the inside of the hat. So now we're going to add our little pom-pom. Again, this is the inside, so we're going to put, they have a little loop like this, so we're going to just bring this through before we completely close this. And a trick, if you need to go get that, you can put your hook in there and pull that up. But this is our elastic for that. Okay, we are going to try a different way, but we're just going to tie a knot around the elastic at the top here. Again, we love a good square knot. And then we're going to put our string through it so we don't lose it, but then tie another knot here. Basically, you just want to make sure that you're tying it on without too much slack of this elastic. Otherwise, what's going to happen is that your pom-pom will wiggle a little more than you would probably prefer at the top. So we're just going to tie a couple more knots here. We have our pom-pom tied through there. And then what we will do is we are going to weave some ends. So this is my least favorite part, and this is just weaving in the ends. Basically what we're going to do is follow the stitch and hide this strand in there. So I already did the other side, but we are just going to go and hide this string of yarn. And you don't have to do the entire thing, you just have to go enough until it is hidden. But we will just keep going down through it, and we're going to follow with the stitch but not go through to the top. So then we will go right here. Oops, then we will go right here. And once you feel like you have weaved in enough of the ends, and a reminder that we already have knotted it up here, so this is more just hiding the ends. And then you want to make sure that it doesn't have any slack there, but then you can go ahead and cut right there. So now we will see what it looks like finally done. So we'll flip it inside out. I did put on that tag from Artifox Studios. So this is super oversized, but this beanie is meant to be cuffed. So we will flip it up, but there is the final look. So adding those tags just does add an extra element. I really do love it. And the pom-poms are linked in my pattern. So if you want to get to crocheting some beanies this winter season, make sure you go check out my pattern. And as always, follow along for more parts.